Welcome to the Embrace the Face podcast, where we celebrate all things weird and wonderful. I'm Allie Anderson, your host, here to bring you high vibe content and interviews for your highest good in self-healing and ascension. May these episodes bring you all you need in each now, and I thank you for listening, as always. Beautiful souls, welcome to Lunar Ceremonies at Embrace the Face. Today we are honoring the full flower moon in Scorpio, as well as Beltane. This is the energetic period of quote unquote time to just evolve, death and rebirth. Scorpio is death and rebirth. And I also want to talk about how Uranus is in Gemini and how this can actually affect all the energies abound in the best way, obviously. So, of course, I want to first pull our Yasmin Bolin Moonology cards. I want to pull for our lunar ceremonies and see what we have. New moon in Aquarius, open up to change. So as a triple Aquarius, I find this card very fitting, as well as what the energies right now are telling us, that life is about evolution. And I was actually talking to a friend the other day, and we were talking about how life, you are meant to evolve. You're not meant to remain stagnant. Not also meant to have maybe the same moral values or beliefs or ideologies that you did decades ago that you do now. And that's okay. You don't owe anyone an explanation so long as you are fulfilling your soul's purpose, so long as you are remaining heart-centered, grounded, connected, and protected, and able to just be of service to humanity in the ways that you know how, then that is what it's about. It is about not being afraid to let go of the old parts of you that may no longer exist. And it's about shedding those layers. And last year we talked about the year of the wood snake, of shedding all those layers, and this year being the year of the fire horse in ancient Chinese culture. This is the year of transformation, of shedding the old and embodying the new, whether you refer to it as new earth, new age, the 5D, getting out of the matrix, whatever you refer, it just is. And life gets to be beautiful, and life gets to be transformational and abundant and good. And you get to come out of the darkness and live in the light and embody that light, be that light, shine like that light. And I just did my Frequency Friday recording for the full moon and Beltane. And that really is what came through. It came through that you are the brightest bulb. You are the most shiniest star in the sky. And you are worth every ounce and blood, sweat, and tear. If what you awake every day with that fiery, burning passion to not only fulfill your soul, but share with the world, then keep going. Death and rebirth, no longer living in shame, fear, or self-blame. Rebirth, living in joy, bliss, and enlightenment. That Hawkins scale, right? The frequency Hawkins scale. So for those of you listening and you're still listening after hearing my dog bark like crazy, thank you for still tuning in. This really is, that's just a testament to the energies, and I probably have my front door open. But here's the deal. Uranus is the disruptor. Uranus is now in Gemini. Uranus is the home planet in Aquarius, and I am a triple Aquarius. Uranus is the rebellion. Uranus is the disruptor. Uranus is here to flip the tables over, just like Jesus did, right? And he made a point. He made a statement. And many of us podcasting or speaking our truth are making a statement, and it is to remind you of your own innate wisdom and love, that you are your greatest guru. So Uranus can definitely tend to bring things up, the shadows to the surface. It can test logical ideas, and Aquarius is not really very logical, are we? We are an air sign, and we think outside the box, and we're innovative. And what is happening right now in the collective energies is that humans are realizing the illusions are going away. What they thought was true, we are disrupting those illusions, the man-made illusions, the rules, the laws, the things that have kept us, quote unquote, prisoner for far too long. The things that have kept us feeling like we are in shackles, afraid to be heard, seen, and valued, and empowered, when truly these times, these tumultuous times of war, and disease and all these egoic natures running the planet and just a lot of things happening is that rebellion disruption of Uranus, and with the full moon in Scorpio, the death, the ultimate shadow coming to the surface to be reborn, the ego death. What is ego death? Ego is killing the 7 deadly sins that are within. They are not without, at least like after like decade plus of reading, researching, talking with priests and rabbis, doing ketamine nursing, not being a ketamine patient. I've never done ketamine, but just experiencing all these different aspects of what is life, what is God. And I just feel like it's a very personal decision, but it's also one that you have to hold strongly in that faith for yourself, because that faith is what is going to carry you through in these times of tumultuosity, in these times of upheaval, which a lot of people are living in fear right now. And I talk about this all the time, that you can still flow when the externals are burning to the ground. You can still remain resilient. You can still have a nervous system that is in parasympathetic state, that is keeping you cool, calm, and collected, that is keeping you talking with this about with a friend also. How many of you are the logical ones in chaotic situations? How many of you thrive in chaos? Now, this was to emergency medicine, ex-emergency medicine healthcare workers talking about this, but if you thrive in chaos, it's like, okay, I can thrive in anything, right? As a human, yes, things are happening in our personal lives, in our professional lives, financially, globally, whatever it may be. Things are always going to be thrown at you. The curveballs are always going to be thrown at you. The 3D life, the things that come along with the third dimension, the lack, greed, fear, ego, and the money, and the big pharma, and just all of it. None of that is going to help you thrive. Even, to be honest, even identifying with yourself in a religion, identifying with yourself in politics, none of that is what is going to help your frequency to elevate cosmically, to live your highest timeline. That is the shedding, the discernment, the looking within that needs to be done. How are these lower vibrational 3D events and things and occurrences, how are they benefiting you? And if they're not, what can you do to transcend that? And kind of that's where I come in. And lately I've been talking a lot about death, which is very strange to talk about. I do have a background in, like I've talked about a lot, emergency medicine, hospice nursing. I've done both adult and pediatrics. So I've seen every aspect of life and death, essentially. But lately, death has been coming up, and it's no surprise because of this full moon being in Scorpio, that water sign, that feeling of the fluid emotion. We must continue to flow through the darkness. And Scorpio is kind of known as that like brooding, deep, like, I guess like that, like more intense energy, like the gothic energy. And then, but really like it's about that transformation, and it's about overcoming, and everything that you have been through in life. If you were to look back right now, wouldn't you be proud of yourself? Everything you've accomplished in life, you're still breathing, you're still standing, you're still walking, maybe you're not. If you are still living as somebody who has had a total near-death experience, out-of-body experience, any day that I am breathing, talking, as my throat chakra is clearing to say something important, I guess, that's what happens, right? That is where the gratitude is. And lately, the conversations that have been happening about death are with 2 particular people in my life who are actually dying quickly, like not, well, who have been given terminal diagnoses. And we are working together, one in particular, on keeping her frequency high, remaining resilient, keeping this individual's soul at the forefront of her battleground, of her own battleground, right? Because we're all fighting our own inner battle. And when death comes into play, talking about it even. So does fear. So does the unknown. So does the entire misunderstanding or just no understanding of what the afterlife actually is. And you can read all the books in the world. You can watch all the documentaries. You can probably do all the research in the current labs and state-of-the-art facilities. Ultimately, though, we don't know. So we must embrace, how do we rid of this fear of death, right? Because everyone's afraid of the death card in tarot. Everyone's always afraid. But truly, it's about a new beginning. It's about remembering who you are, that energetic essence within, that fiery, burning passion that you have, the one that you came here with, the mission to accomplish. And everything that you do in this life is supposed to be about growing your soul. It's supposed to be about remembering who you are. It's supposed to be about facing the fears and deprogramming the illusions that we've been made to live with. And death is not one to fear. Death is one to embrace, and hospice totally changed this aspect in my perception, that every single human being on this earth, I don't even care if you're on death row, and that's a whole nother conversation. I see the light within you, unless you are not human, and I've said this before, so which that's also a whole nother conversation. I see the light within you. You are a human soul. You came to this earth incarnating in a physical human body. I see your light. The light is there. It's about navigating the darkness, the shadows, and the most common fear is that of death. So when I worked in hospice and saw many different walks of life, and even in the ER, many different situations, acute death, expected death, it's never easy. It was never easy, yet I was always just kind of, I guess, numb to it. And my daughter and I were actually talking about this. This is how much death is coming up lately. So I don't know if in your conversations that you've been having, even talking to my husband this morning, I'm like, every single conversation, every single day for the last week has been about death. And my daughter even said, she's like, I'm not afraid of death. Like, she's like, but like everybody, there's got to be something, but we just have to believe. And that's a 16-year-old. And everybody has their own fears. Maybe she's just saying that she's not afraid of death, right? Because she's seen loss, but has not had any near-death experiences as others or anything like that. But when you are someone who you know that you have a fear of death, that is where, when you are with me and you're sitting with me, we tap into that. And we tap into that fear. And where do you feel it in your body? Is there a memory associated with it? This is how I got to the root of my fear of death, by the way. Deep quantum healing work, deep cord cutting, deep ridding, shedding, deprogramming. Why? Because when I actually witnessed death, the physical act of a human dying on this earth, no matter the age, there was always something so beautiful about it. Like tragic, right? Sad, because this person is leaving the earth and we love them and we care about them. And we don't want this for them, whether they're 15 years old or they're 100 years old. At 100 years old, it's a lot easier, right? To say, it's okay. Go to the light. Go. How many times I heard people say that to their family members? It's okay. You can go to the light. You were here for long enough. And that's what it is, right? We're all trying to go to the light because we think this is such darkness here on earth. A lot of people will say that this is purgatory, that earth is purgatory, that earth is school for the soul. And I see and hear and feel a lot of things and timelines and this and that. And of course, I could sit here and tell you in a whole nother episode just about all the different multidimensionalities and all the different dimensions and the beings and the fairies and the gnomes and the reptilians and just you name it, we can talk about it. The extraterrestrials that are amongst us, beings that are amongst us that we don't see in the 3D everyday perception. So of course, Earth is scary. If you make it that way. But it's not the purgatory, and it's not this dash, right? What do you do between your dash, the time you're born to the time you die? It's not, it's about embracing that. It's about realizing that you literally came here for a purpose, to incarnate in a body, to fulfill a mission. And once you awaken to that, and you can be any age, you can be in your 70s, it doesn't matter. Like, my parents are just starting to now talk to me about things like this. And I've been spewing things about ancient aliens and energy healing and Eastern medicine practices and theology and philosophy for the latter, like, 7 years, and they're just catching on now, and they're starting to understand. And even when people pass away, they have a different process of it now, and they talk to me about it. Because when you understand that this dash here on earth really is meant to, it is temporary, right? And it's quick and it flies by. And I'm almost 40 years old, and I still think I'm literally 16, and I still, or sometimes 10, or sometimes 8, and I still embody those emotions, the emotions of little Allie. And it's a life's journey to remind little Allie that I've got this, that I can carry her through the world, and that no matter how wild or far-fetched or whatever people think, that you're meant to be here, that there is a purpose, that there is a mission to fulfill. When you shed of all that doubt, when you shed of all those layers of the subconscious programming that just aren't in alignment with your awakened soul, because I think that's a huge discerning aspect of being awakened, is realizing that self-realization, self-actualization really is the answer, especially in Buddhist culture, that life is suffering, but self-actualization is actually the answer. Just being self-aware, the act of being self-aware, and then just ridding of all the fears that you have, including death, to overcome and persevere and follow that fiery passion within, so that you can literally live in your truth, in your soul's alignment. And that's not always easy. Once you awaken and you realize that the people who have not awakened and who are not evolving with life and who may still be stuck in their ways, this is right now in that collective, energetic, humanitarian aspect. We don't want to leave any man behind, but at the same time, we got to move on, and we got to raise the vibe, and we have to heal humanity. And as light workers, if you're listening, odds are you're a light worker. And if you are a light worker and do have a fear of death, that's still okay, because we're always whole, right? Like, our soul is always whole, but there are still going to be those lingering old programmatic parts of us that are going to chime through if we're triggered by something. So it's a matter of just reminding yourself, if you are triggered by the idea of death, that you can just remind yourself that this is just the natural part of life. It literally is our only guarantee. And people always say, oh, well, taxes and death. But no, like, some people just don't pay their taxes. So death is the only guarantee. And what do you want to make of it while you're here? And I can tell you, and I have a community that could tell you, and I'm sure many of you listening and other people that you know that maybe even not be spiritual also have had experiences. The data shows that at least 41% of Americans have had these experiences, these spiritual experiences, showing that death is not the end. What I do know is that I'm given messages that I pass along to people that shock the shit out of people, that say, how the hell did you know that? That I'm able to have dreams and then call people and tell them things about past loved ones. How did you know that? So, and I know I'm not alone in that. And we are connected, and we are an interweb, and we are an interlace, and we are a network. And when we experience great loss, when it comes to death, we feel that for each other, right? So if you are somebody who is able to or has overcome that fear of death, how can you help others? It's like the women who cycle with the full moon. You're there to carry the rest of the women, right? And that's the idea, is that we're here to carry each other through great loss, through great grief, that there is not fear to be had, no matter how tragically, no matter how early, no matter how quickly, or just in terrible nature that somebody passed. It can literally be the most heart wrenching thing in the world, but know that you are still connected soul to soul, that everything is energy and energy never ceases to exist, per Albert Einstein. It's important to write to these people. It's important to talk to these people, and people as in your past loved ones. Your ancestors, even. You can commune with your ancestors. Beltane is a wonderful opportunity to set up an altar and lay out any ancestral things of meaning. Also, don't forget full moon. You can put out your moon water, you can put out your crystals. And if you purchase the sacred box this month, it is all about renewal. So, right, death and rebirth. So we're renewing our energy, and we are ridding of our fears and that our self-doubt, and ridding of that which no longer serves us over the next few days. And when you utilize the sacred box, I have the salt, lavender, and rosemary sea mix, and you can use it in the bath. You can use it as a scrub to rid of that negative energy. I have the Palo Santo. I have lavender oil. I have kunzite, green aventurine. Every month has a theme, right? So for this particular full moon, you can tap in to Mother Earth in that grounding Taurus energy, right? We're slowing down during the grounding Taurus energy. And you can utilize all your metaphysical goodies that you have, whether it's through the Embrace the Face Apothecary or your own purchases. Just know that when working with the full moon, especially this one in Scorpio, that you are connecting with Mother Earth, you are connecting with Father Sky, God, Source, Universe, whomever your higher power is, and just letting the energy that no longer serves you, that hucha, which is in shamanism, hucha is your negative energy that no longer serves you, your trauma, your drama, other people's energies. And just connecting with Luna, connecting with Mother Earth, asking Mother Earth to take your hucha and to give you her Sami, Sami, which is her positive, unconditional, loving energy, which she is always willing to give. So that's a wonderful grounding ritual that you can do for this full moon. And to just know that, I know I talked, like, why is Ali talking about death? Again, this is just something, like I said, in clientele that happens in my life. I help people through the deepest and the darkest. I don't know why. This is something that I've probably never really ever shared on my podcast, and I'm sitting here alone, so I might as well share it. So I often, one of the things that holds me back in continuing taking on clients, to be honest, is that for over 15 years, I just posted about this, probably for 20 years, since I was 12 years old, I have kind of been surrounded by death. My dad almost died right in front of me. He passed out, hit his head on the toilet. There was on the tub. There was blood everywhere. He was having a GI bleed. So between his GI bleed and his head, it was just like a nightmare. My first like real fear of death. And then working in emergency medicine and hospice, obviously surrounded by death. I had a lot of personal losses. I know that everyone experiences loss. I don't know what the average number of losses are. And I know that a lot of people my age have experienced a lot of loss, especially in the opioid epidemic. And I am someone who people have come to when struggling in their deepest and darkest. And since I was in my early 20s, these people come to me in their deepest and darkest troubles, drug addictions, mental health crises, just other crises, other egoic and just troubles. And this is something that I have just always been that person that people go to. And I never understood it until a few years ago. Another one of our friends died who had come to me just a few weeks prior, who I had actually been talking with for years, but had really come to me just a few months prior and really wanted to start getting clean and working on their life. And this person, beautiful soul, inside and out. And it made me realize after she died unexpectedly, just a few days after talking with her, people like, why do people come to me, right? Why do I have to transmute these shadows and these hurts and these pains? Like, why me, God, right? Because they hurt and they're real. And I've experienced them, and I've seen what families have gone through, and I've seen what happens, you know, in the deepest and the darkest. And that continues to be a part of my practice. And that has been something. People come to me with terminal illness, people come to me with addiction, people come to me with just being completely lost in life and having no idea, people at the end of their ropes with their marriages, with cheating spouses, or just issues in the home that are just coming to like a complete, just disastrous state. And this is the kind of, I guess I'm saying it is because this period in time, this particular full moon and Uranus and Gemini bringing up that destruction, these shadows to the surface, these things that need to be addressed, that this is where the deep healing is. This is for some reason just my specialty, to guide people. And for a long time I was like, well, all these people that come to me, they end up dying. So I don't want them. I don't want to help people anymore. And for a little bit I kind of went through that, but I know that I know what I'm doing to help people, and I know that I'm helping people flow. And I know that as uncomfortable as talking about death and grief and shadows and traumas and PTSD can be, that there's a beauty on the other side. Where there is darkness, there is light. And that's the law of polarity, and you just can't escape that because it just is. It's how our universe works. It's how we evolve and flow. So don't be afraid to do so. So I think that's it for today. I think I've spoken long enough and rambled long enough about death. And I don't mean it in a way to trigger. And I probably, when I publish this, I should probably tell people, like, trigger warning. Because it really is just a part of life. And I almost died twice in my pregnancies. Like I've said before, I've stated before, I would have been one of those women before they figured out how to treat preeclampsia. I most certainly would have died. And then I almost died again, 19. And ever since I had that out of body experience with my dad's friend who had passed, who was with me the whole time and told me that nothing was ever going to be the same. I've been able to take all the skills that I've learned in my years of nursing, my 18 years of nursing now. I've been able to take all of those skills, my continued studies and certifications in Reiki, somatics, and quantum healing. And I've been able to make a magical healing machine out of it, I guess. And it just helps people. And it helps me to be able to help you. Because I'm glad, even if I'm the one who has to be the one to transmute all the deepest and darkest, it's an honor to be able to do it for those who feel comfortable enough to sit in that sacred space with me. So please know that you're never alone if you are struggling, if you are going through something, if this full moon is bringing up just a lot of upheaval, fear, emotions, please know that I'm always here. And I just wish you all many blessings this full moon in Scorpio, and Beltane blessings to those who honor and celebrate, and peace out and God.